Ray Rice scandal, former FBI Chief Robert Mueller assigned to the NFL to investigate the league's handling of Rice's domestic violence incident. And this comes on the heel of the Associated Press reporting a law official sent an NFL executive the infamous video of Rice punching his then fiancée. We told you about that last night. In the wake of all this, fans may be feeling uneasy, especially, that's putting it mildly, especially female fans. So what sort of impact will this have on the sport and the league? Joining me now, NFL chick, Syreeta Hubbard. Thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. I love your handle.
Thank you.
But I need to ask you about some news we've had this afternoon on the show. Co-owners of the Steelers and Giants say they are going to be looking over the shoulder of former FBI Chief Robert Mueller as he investigates. And we're hearing news that Mueller is also going to share this information with all the NFL owners and ultimately with the public, whatever he finds in his investigation. This seems to be moving quickly. It seems that Goodell has hired somebody who's well-known and well-respected to conduct this investigation. What do you make of it?
It sounds good. It sounds like it's going to be an independent investigation, but I think the consensus among a lot of people is that they're not going to really find anything groundbreaking that will ultimately affect Roger Goodell's position as the NFL commissioner. Rooney and Mara, as you mentioned, they're two owners that I believe are very fond of Roger Goodell. And so a lot of people are wondering why these two are leading the investigation. It's well known that they're both lawyers, but because of their fondness of Mr. Goodell, one wonders if they're going to be unbiased about how they go about this investigation.
Well, that's very interesting, and I think a lot of people have voiced support for Goodell, certainly on this network and in other places. He's also a very well-known commodity and well-regarded for what he's done. But questions arose last night about a video that a law enforcement official told the Associated Press had been delivered, that is, to NFL offices way back in April. The NFL explicitly said they had not received that earlier. What did you make of that disconnect and the NFL's defense, which was essentially, we never saw it? Did you buy that?
No, and I don't think most people did. I think that most people thought that they at least had the tape. And you'll find a lot of people believe that they actually watched the tape. But the NFL is such a high-powered entity that they can have access to everything. And players will tell you, they know about what they've done in the first grade. So for them to say that they didn't have access to something as important as a video with domestic violence, including one of their high-profile players, it just really seems like they wanted us to believe that. And I think a lot of people know that they have the power to get whatever it is that they need to close that case.
You know, I wonder, and we've been talking about this all week, I guess, just how much impact this might have on the game. And especially when you consider 46% of the audience for football, it's all women. You talk to women all the time about the game. You're a woman yourself. You actually, I believe, worked for the Ravens at one point. What's the reaction out there among women fans?
They're not happy, and they have a right to not be happy. Like you said, they're 46%. Since Goodell's tenure, about 56 sexual assault and domestic violence cases have come, and it's only been a total of 13 game suspensions amongst all of those cases. One person in particular is a multiple offender, and he was just a guest host on Inside the NFL, one of the NFL's premier shows. So it really looks bad for them to not have made a big deal about this before, especially now with the growing popularity amongst female fans. I do think that them making new laws helps, but they have a long way to go to gain that trust again against women. And I think that a lot of people would like to see a resignation of Goodell to start that process, whether it's right or wrong.
Now, you know Ray Rice, as I understand it. You worked with him when you were at the Ravens. What'd you make of him?
I worked with him with some community work, doing my NFL chick things, and he was a really good guy. He talked about being a role model and how important it was to be a role model. He genuinely cared about what was going on in the community. He was a guy that was regularly in the community. So, of course, when this happened, myself and a lot of Ravens fans were definitely shocked because this isn't the guy that people knew him to be. And it was just very surprising to see such things happen and be transpired on film compared to who he was and who he portrayed himself to be in the public eye.
Something of a disconnect. Syreeta, it was great to meet you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.